the moment I stepped into the glittering ballroom. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, thick with the anticipation of secrets waiting to explode. Chandeliers sparkled above like tiny eyes watching the chaos to come, and the soft hum of conversation masked the storm that was about to hit. My wife laughed across the room, her hand lightly brushing against her giant boyfriend's forearm, his hulking frame and coiled muscles radiating dominance. His presence a silent threat that made the room instinctively tense. But the instant his gaze fell on me, the atmosphere shifted. A subtle, dangerous tension wrapped around the room like a tightening noose. He cracked his knuckles deliberately, an audible warning that seemed to echo through the very walls. "Step aside, or I'll snap your neck right here." The crowd froze, whisper stifled in fear, yet I did not flinch. I smiled, calmly, almost indulgently, because I was the only one who knew the truth, a truth so potent it could crumble their lives in a heartbeat. Hidden beneath my jacket were USB drives, memory cards, and recordings, each carrying secrets so explosive that the moment they were revealed, every lie, every betrayal, and every clandestine rendezvous they had hidden would be laid bare in front of everyone. My calm, almost serene smile seemed to unnerve him further, because strength and intimidation could not touch what had already been captured, cataloged, and waiting. Tonight, the battle wouldn't be won by fists or threats. It would be won by cold, undeniable, irrefutable truth, and I had already checked every box, set every trap, and orchestrated every detail to perfection. As he took a threatening step toward me, his shadow looming like a dark omen, I let the tension stretch, letting the panic slowly crawl across his features, letting the whispers of the crowd swell into an almost unbearable murmur. And then I acted. A subtle press of a hidden button sent the massive screens at the front of the room to life, flickering with the first wave of revelations. Messages between my wife and her secret lover, conversations dripping with deceit, promises broken, lies woven with meticulous precision. Gasps exploded throughout the room, the giant stiffening as disbelief replaced arrogance. He had thought he could dominate, that fear and muscle could control the narrative, but now the narrative controlled him. My wife's laughter faltered, her face paling as the first cracks of panic showed, betraying the carefully cultivated mask of charm and superiority. I calmly pressed a second button, and hidden camera footage streamed onto the screens. Her clandestine meetings, her whispered betrayals, her secret life unspooling before a crowd that could hardly believe their eyes. Colleagues gasped, some taking a step back, some craning forward in morbid fascination, as each new clip further exposed the fragility of the life they had all believed untouchable. The giant's fists fell slowly to his sides, power drained, confidence shattered. He realized too late that brute strength was useless against evidence meticulously gathered over months, a silent web of inevitability that had been designed to crush him and my wife without a single blow. The suspense reached a fever pitch as I unleashed the final phase of my silent war. Files upon files, recordings upon recordings, were displayed in a rapid, inescapable torrent across every screen, illuminating every hidden corner of their deceit. The room had become a theater of truth, each guest a witness to the unraveling of a life carefully curated for appearances alone. My wife sank into a chair, her trembling hands covering her face as reality struck. Her empire of lies, built on manipulation and hidden desires, had crumbled in the most public, humiliating way imaginable. The giant, once a towering symbol of intimidation, now looked small, powerless, and defeated, every ounce of his arrogance evaporating under the relentless illumination of truth. Colleagues whispered furiously, some horrified, some captivated, while the music that had once been festive now sounded grotesque, a cruel symphony underscoring their collapse. I did not shout. I did not gloat. I simply stood, a calm eye in a storm of chaos, letting the meticulously orchestrated exposure do all the damage. The power of patience, preparation, and precision had eclipsed the illusion of dominance. As I slowly stepped back, allowing the room to absorb every revelation, I knew the final hook, the one that would haunt them forever, was yet to land. Then, with the room still buzzing from shock, I activated the final, most devastating piece of evidence, a live feed showing conversations between the giant and my wife, plotted behind everyone's back, discussing ways to humiliate me, mock me, and maintain their illusion of control. The entire ballroom froze, the collective horror palpable, as they realized that every single move they had made to manipulate, intimidate, or control had been anticipated, recorded, and revealed. My wife's hands flew to her face in disbelief, her carefully curated facade collapsing entirely. The giant's jaw dropped, and a silence heavier than any threat descended, punctuated only by the stunned breaths of onlookers. In that moment, they understood the full magnitude of their miscalculation. They had believed dominance was theirs, that fear was theirs to wield, but they had forgotten the one variable they could never control, the quiet, patient man standing in their midst, orchestrating their downfall. I smiled once more, the calm, unshakable smile of a man who had won without striking a blow, whose presence alone had been a silent weapon. By the time I walked out of the ballroom, leaving behind shattered illusions, hushed whispers, and stunned colleagues, the night had permanently rewritten their story. Their perfect world, meticulously curated for appearances, lay in ruins, and the echo of their betrayal and the revelation of their weakness would follow them forever. And the strongest hook, the final unforgettable strike, was this. They had believed they controlled the night, control me, but the reality was inescapable. I controlled everything, and they had walked blindly into a storm that I had been waiting to unleash since the very moment I entered.